We got some music. Cannot find Debo.
Shall I play it?
Yes, please.
Okay.
And can somebody hunt down Debo?
Grab your neighbor and pull up a chair, 'cause we got a lot to say about the world out there at the hump day exchange today. Oh,
Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. We're going to start this one out a little bit differently. A lot is going on today. A lot has gone on. There is, as we know, a lot of energies out there that just have been pretty horrific. There she is. And so I asked the host, and I'll ask Brandon as well, if you would mind, to just take a few moments with everybody here and just close her eyes and just take a few deep cleansing breaths to just kind of center us, into a space that may be more conducive for conversations in light of all of the things that's going on in the world. So I invite everybody here to just blow some of that out, first of all.
Right.
And then close your eyes. And then we're just going to take a couple of deep belly breaths. We're going to fill our belly all the way up to our chest. We're going to hold it just for a moment. And then we're going to let it go. And let's do that again. Deep breath in. All the way up to your chest. Hold it. And then let it go. And one more time. Deep breath in. All the way up. Hold it. And then let it go. And just blink yourself back into this space. And welcome everyone to HumpDay Exchange. We are so excited. We have Brandon Wade here with us tonight. So for those of you who have not heard of Brandon, where have you been? No, I'm just kidding. Brandon grew up in, is it Copen, Oklahoma? Because I'm not even sure where that's at. I meant to look it up on a map, but I forgot. So,
Copan. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's Copan. It's up as far as you can go on 75, right before you run into the Kansas line.
Okay. Learned something new about Oklahoma. All that geography and stuff I had to learn, and I just can't hold on to some of those towns. Proud Union family, followed in their footsteps, third generation member of IUOE Local 351, where he also served as an officer. He's active in Democratic organizing as secretary of the Oklahoma Democratic Party Veterans Federation, and grounded in small town working class values, Wade centers his campaign on strengthening public schools, raising wages, protecting women's rights, and making health care affordable for all. Ran against Josh last time for the Oklahoma 2nd Congressional District. And glad to have you here with us today. We're going to have our hosts, Michael and Elizabeth, ask you some questions to get us started. And in light of everything that's going on, Elizabeth, why don't you get us started without getting us tagged?
Word. So Brandon, welcome. It's nice to see you. I should put some glasses on so I can see you. Oh, love you too. Welcome. Hey, so kind of just in light of today's everything. Um, so when we talk about, the pew pew controls and, um, we keep asking for um, more support with that, more support with, maybe responsible pew pew owners, or um, let's go back to where we were, right, when we didn't have all this that's walking down the street. So can you tell us a little bit, kind of like where you stand with that, and where you are with that?
I'm just so tired of the norm that it's become. I mean, it's just become flawless to all of us, it seems like, and I'm just tired of hearing that happen. I mean, why the shooting was happening at the event today, there was one school shooting in Colorado almost simultaneously. And it's
Mm-hmm.
just becoming too normal. I think back to when I went to school, in high school up there in Copan, rural school, so we didn't get back in the acting for us, and never feared for our lives, never thought anybody was going to shoot the school for any of those things. And I think it's just a difference between where we were back then and where we are now today. A lot of it, I believe, has responsible gun owners.
Oh, it kind of went mumbly for a second.
I believe, it's just like being responsible gun owners and, teaching how to handle a firearm and just understanding you can get them down the street. I don't want to all seeing them like
Yeah,
that.
there's a lot of background noise. Did it stop?
I think it's Michael's. It might be his
Ooh.
mic.
I was like, ooh, that's Michael.
Does that make it better?
Yeah, because I didn't get to hear a lot of what.
Tell whose it was. Sorry, guys.
It's okay, I can't hear you now. So, but when you say all that, like, what does that look like? You know what I mean? Like, when we talk about teaching people how to handle themselves correctly, or, we talk about boxes and locks and stuff like that. Like, how would that, because I know at one point in time, we actually had vending machines that had pew pew load 'em up things. And like that was very scary, that you're like, this is in my home state and we've got like vending machines, stuff like that. And so it's interesting to me that we can have oh, not today, Heather. The list is up here on the top, babe. So but when we talk about that, right? So I can go into the gas station and buy, reloads, but I can't get lessons for free. So I
Yeah.
think for me, I am like, I need more clarification on kind of like, because this is a big seat, right? So like, we want to know what you're going to do for us here now, and then when you get into office.
I think we need more back to like when I was. I think we need more back to like when I was growing up and going to school. We need more school where we have hunter safety courses and gun safety classes that is active at the school, where we have them at the school. You went to the school for it. It wasn't during school, but you went there for it, and it was a free class. It didn't cost us anything to do. So provide those kind of gun trainings and stuff like that out there. But then we've got to get to where we can sit down and have conversation with one another and agree on something and put laws in place that are going to work. Actually start with, the red flag laws and those kind of things, giving our police the ability that if they are called out to a domestic dispute, and when they go into that home, if there's firearms laying around, they can remove those firearms. It's not like you're losing your firearm. It's going down to the city hall and being placed at the jail or wherever, registered under whoever's name they were that they came from. And then once everything's cooled, you got a calmer head, they can go pick those firearms back up, and maybe it saves some lives that way. Background, universal background check, something that we all feel we need to have. I mean, we just got to sit down and actually put laws in place. But until we can get past this argument over the Second Amendment and the misunderstanding of what the Second Amendment is, and not just everybody needs to have a firearm. Unfortunately, it's too dangerous for just anybody to have that. And if there's mental illness or anything along those lines, or you have a violent crimes that you've committed, or even with the abuse that we see, if there's domestic I can't talk now, but domestic disputes, then you've been charged with any of those kind of crimes, then you probably shouldn't have a firearm. I mean, and those are things that we need to look at doing and putting in place to protect the citizens of our country, and especially our children. I mean, my son's a sophomore at Oklahoma State this year, and every year of school from first grade all the way through, they went through active shooter drills. And that's nothing that our children ought to be living through, especially at that level. And he feared every day of his life for, an active shooting, what day that was going to be in Bartlesville. He went to school in Bartlesville, and, every day, even up to graduation night, he was, worried of when it was going to happen. Mm-hmm. And, it made me caught myself looking around on graduation night, just scanning the crowd and everywhere, not really enjoying the graduation because of the fears that he had, and just watching for something out of the ordinary.
Okay. And so that's kind of lead into some other questions that we had, because I'm like, okay, well, great. Well, who decides that? And do we get a letter for this? And la la la. But I think I was going with Oklahoma, because you have the question that we kind of really want to start with. But we did want to address, today's unfortunate events, not only with a tangerine ally, but with the schools incidences as well. Please forgive us for talking in code, because that's what we got to do. And so I'm going to turn this over to. So, does anybody have any questions for Brandon from what I just talked about and what his answers were there? Anybody? Great. Okay, so take it away, Oklahoma.
Hi, Mr. Wade. You are no stranger to running in races, right? So a big question that I have is, what new approaches or maybe even strategies are you planning to bring to your campaign this year compared to your previous races?
All right. I've got more support, more help, volunteers on board. I really want to utilize the county parties more as well after the primary, of course, where we can actually involve the county parties more, so they're not weighing one way or the other, so they can stay biased until then. But my vision is unite in Oklahoma. So to do that and win these races, we're going to have to start helping our candidates out on the county party levels with the precinct officers and going out. What I've been asking every county when I go to them is, once this primary is over, and if I come through the primary, which, I keep saying if, because I don't want to sound like I feel like I have it. But, after I win, from the competitive side of me, after I win, I want to come back to all the county parties and ask them to go out and help us win this race. Be part of the campaign. It's your campaign. I'm the guy running for the office for you to represent you, but it's your campaign. And that's what I'm telling everybody. So we're going to have to utilize the precinct officers to go out there and go to their precincts and talk to their friends and neighbors, knock the doors in their neighborhoods. And, if they're willing to knock any door, then knock all the doors. Don't just knock Democratic doors, knock Republican doors, because we got to have Republican votes to win in this district. It's a large district that has lots of Republican registered voters. So we got to reach those voters as well. And, utilizing those county parties, because it's just really tough to get to every door throughout these eastern Oklahoma. It's from the Kansas line to the Texas line. So there's a lot of traveling. I've been going 2.5 hours just about everywhere I go.
It's a big area. Mm-hmm. That kind of leads me into my next question is, with others in the race, this is what differs from your previous races, right? That with others in the race on your side of the ticket, what makes your campaign stand out to voters?
What I've been telling everybody is I feel the experience, the ability with my leadership with the unions and my actually being a representative for the unions. I'm committee chairman for our local, and I sit on the executive board for our international unions executive board. And that's brought me and taught me how to be a representative. And I feel that experience is what sets me aside from the opponent I have going into the primary, to where I can actually be ready to go to work the day after the election. I've already started putting some bills together. I've got one that I put on my website, the American Dreams Act, is what I want to call it. I want that to be the first bill. And after I get off here, I'm going to start working on I just at night late, I sit there and I start working through stuff, trying to plan more bills and things that can help correct the situations that we're in. But those things are going to have to start happening the day after election. I feel I'm the candidate that's more ready to do that with the knowledge. Not saying it's the same knowledge, but it's being a representative, and to me, that still runs right in line with what this position should be, as somebody that can represent the people, which we don't have that right now with our current representatives in office. And I'm going in and talking to all the people. And I'm not saying that, the guy running against me, he's doing the same thing. He's out talking to people as well. But I feel like I have a good touch with where they're at and what I'm hearing. And, I'm talking to all constituents out there, regardless of a party affiliation. To me, it's representing the people. And like I've told everybody, I don't work for the party. I work for the people. And I feel that's what's going to set me aside, is the ability to be able to go to work day one, get up there right after election, and start making the bridges that I need to, finding the people I need to on that's going to be there for the next cycle, and start working with them, selling these bills to them, trying to get them on board so they can co-sign with them or get on, and help get it where when we get into session and get put in, we can start working on it immediately instead of having to build that stuff after we get there.
Love it. I just have one more follow-up question. Does this race feel different to you than the previous ones?
Well, than the previous one, yeah, just that I know there's a primary, and I think there's a little more uptick in people are really ready for a change. I think even people that voted the other way last time are starting to see the effects of stuff. So I think there is going to be more Republicans voting the other direction, and we need to utilize that and capitalize on that throughout all these races, because it'd be great to see 3 to 4 of these seats in congressional districts change, and I think we got a realistic chance in 5 as well. Gina Nelson is a good candidate that very well could flip that seat, and I think we can build on that with everywhere else and just work together to get these things done. But yeah, I think the biggest difference is the effect of what our economy is going through right now, and the damage this administration is doing has really opened some eyes. And even with our farmers and ranchers, they're seeing the effects of it now as well. What it's costing them, and they may not be getting any kind of bailout from the people that they put in office to help them out. So unfortunately, we're going to see a lot of hurt and a lot of pain getting through this, and I think that's going to sway some voters to actually get to the polling place and pay attention on how they vote this time.
Couldn't agree more. Michael, I know you had some questions lined up for him.
Okay, hopefully we can do this without my mic breaking out. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I want to start with first. I said you mentioned a living wage for over $15 in Washington County. What's your plan for making that a reality statewide?
Well, I'm hoping, the ballot for our primary, hopefully we have a big turnout for that. That's actually going to be on the ballot for our state, raising the minimum wage. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully the people vote that in. But if not, federally, we need where we adjust at least $15 an hour, and then we start raising it with the cost of living to where it keeps up instead of staying back like the $7.25 has for over decades. But I guess to answer that, more so not just Oklahoma, but for the other states that maybe don't have it raising up, I mean, we need to look at putting it in there on a federal side. That way it has to go up there.
Awesome. And I also have another question. You stated that you stand for the LGBTQ plus. What's your first policy you would tackle for this community?
I really like to see where we make a stronger penalty on hate crimes going out there. The hate that's out in not just Oklahoma, but throughout our nation, it needs to stop, and there needs to be felony charges that stick with those. We need to put something federally in place that, hate crimes are not okay. I mean, we got to stop those things. And then looking to help reverse the damaging laws that go in place that like Oklahoma's put in place with, the public drag shows and those kind of things, taking away freedom of speech. Those things aren't harmful. And what enlighten people to the view of what, the truth of what's going on, where they're trying to sell it to be one thing, and that's not what's going on at these events. There's nothing inappropriate when they're outside where children can be involved in any of that. And even the ones inside, bars or over 21 locations are, maybe some of the content may be a little bit adult registered, but they're over 21. It's not around children. So, trying to reverse some of these state laws that have been put in place and put some federal guidance back under that, and actually uphold our Constitution and protect, First Amendment rights and those things, and protecting, which coming up later, the Supreme Court's going to rule on, the marriage part. And, I'm afraid I don't have faith in our Supreme Court to actually uphold what the Constitution says. So we're probably going to have to do something to reverse some things that are damaged and done there as well.
Really like your answer, by the way. I think that's very helpful for sure. Anybody else have anything else to add on?
I did want to point out that Political Woodstock did want to ask what your talk about your 3 points, your 3 main points on your platform.
Well, there's so much going on now in the world. I mean, it seems like they change all the time based on what else is going on. But I really feel that we can handle a whole lot of stuff if we can finally address the healthcare for all, where we can have affordable healthcare for everyone. That's going to help so many different things. And then looking after the homeless situation we have in our country, in our state, throughout all the cities, doing stuff in humane ways where we put back in place, mental health becomes actual healthcare that's addressed, and we can address the mental health issues. And then, addressing where we have facilities where people can go and get the help they need and the care they need, where they can stay on their medicine and stuff and get therapeutic, and then help them get back on their feet. You have a housing program out there, affordable housing that people can get into while they're going to a job, in a jobs program of some kind, to get back on their feet so they can get a place of their own. And, those things to me would help in so many different areas. And then addressing, the damage that's been done with this, what they call the big beautiful bill, addressing some of the Medicaid cuts and those things. We're going to have to reverse that as well, because we're going to run into a damaging effect in our state and throughout our nation with rural hospitals, and that's just going to bleed over into the other hospitals in the bigger cities and things like that, with overcrowding and not enough beds. So healthcare is at risk there. So I think if we can address those things, it'll start addressing a lot of it. And then taking care of our economy, that's another big issue that has to be addressed with. And the living wage is going to go a long way to providing for that and restoring, workers' right. Make sure we protect unions to be able to have a place and be able to fight and protect for the union workers and then all the workers out there to help drive the wages up.
Nice. So I'm going to throw, anybody have anything else to respond to that? Okay. So I am going to go to your comment about the like the homeless situation and treating people, because they're human. But here's the thing. We have had all of those things in place. I am a mental health professional, and these are things that deeply affect me. I'm very passionate about this, but we've had these things in place. And slowly but surely, we are losing these resources. As a matter of fact, Oklahoma County itself, I had 2 people that always took housing, always took our people, and have shut their doors. As of September 1st, I think it's 300 contracts are not being renewed, and out of 573. And it's not that they're cuts, they are non-contract renewals. So basically, and I'm going to use reemerge right now, because what you're going to notice is that with the majority of these are criminal justice, mental health, and substance use. So when we talk about, I would love nothing more. My dream is to do tiny homes, right? For our homeless and our less fortunate, because 90% of our homeless are veteran or mental health. So we've had these things in place. So what is your plan? You know, what does that look like for you? Because we literally just have the rug yanked out from underneath us. We just had our governor Wally whoop into Tulsa and start that route, and then had Senator Standridge, because that's who we want representing the homeless community, jump on that bandwagon. So what does that look like for you? What does that look like for us as Oklahomans? So we're sending you, right, all the way up there to represent us. What does that look like for us?
If we have to do federally, and step in federally to put federal money involved in it and overstepping the state boundaries, then I guess that's what we're going to have to do on a federal level. We don't, I don't want to overstep and try to run the state. I mean, that's what the state should be doing. But when states aren't doing it, just like our education system, there needs to be some steps that come in. The federal government has to come in and try to say, okay, these are things that we need to put in place to fund these programs. So have more federal programs for that. When the state makes the cuts that aren't there for your programs, that federally there are programs and grants out there to get for it to address those situations. And then we got to do better in the state of Oklahoma, electing state officials to help protect things as well. I mean, we need both sides. I mean, we need state officials elected that are going to do these jobs as well, where we can work with one another to make sure the funding is going to be there on both sides.
And so on a federal level, so we have a federal level. So we have SAMHSA, and so that's the national level of mental health. Right, so we have Oklahoma Department of Mental Health. We get stuff from SAMHSA. Some of that funding has also been cut, and some of our verbiage has been cut. So I work in a harm reduction program. We also have an initiative for Housing First. Those have both been cut. Like, we physically had like a supervisor meeting with, we can no longer use these terms, and these programs have been cut. So how are you going to advocate for Oklahomans to stop these cuts? Because they're getting it on a federal level. So we have federal grants, and then we also have, SAMHSA, which is the Federal Substance Abuse and Mental Health Association or Services.
It's going to start with taking a stand and standing up to the administration, standing up to the president, standing up to the others that are just going along with the cuts. We are going to have to elect officials that will stand up and fight for your constituents. So it's fighting for the state of Oklahoma to get the things in there and provide for it. It's taking back all the greed that's up there, that's taking away from these programs, because they got other things they want to do and take care of. So they want to fund other things, which are tax cuts to the wealthy and the corporations. So we're going to have to attack that. And it's a fight that's not going to come easy. We're going to have to take on the corporations and the wealthy in order to do these things. And a lot of the programs that I have set up with the addressing in that American Dreams Act is doing just that. It's taking on and having to tax and make the wealthy and the corporations pay their fair share in order to fund those programs. So that's the way I look at it. We're going to have to fight at that side and stand up for the Oklahomans.
Right. I'm also, Political Woodstock had brought up the Medicaid, Medicare, all the things, which I'm glad that she did, because when we talk about the non-contract renewals and the disruption of services, and whether it's physical health, mental health, we're talking about, they just cut the entire budget of mental health services. And then on top of that, they're messing with Medicare. Like, I actually have a Medicare person that's going to come talk to our agency, because I'm like, I need to know what is changing. But with Medicaid and all of those cuts, and the way it's being handled right now, what is your plan to address that? You know, when you get up there, like, what is your plan to help rectify some of this? I know that they want to bring things back to the states, but they're not prepared for the states to take everything back, right? Okay, mama, like, I'm worried about my career. I am worried about my career because I work in community mental health and substance abuse services. I was terrified to see those contract renewals not go through because I'm like, oh my God, am I going to have a job at the end of the month? Am I going to have to, what is going to happen? I mean, this, like, I'm sick to my stomach on a daily basis because between the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services, work in ABA, whether it's crisis, substance use, like, this is a lot, right? Like, what is your plan to advocate for us and to make that change? I mean, we know that you can't walk in and be like, we're going to change this, but like, what is your direction on this? Like, what is your plan? What does that look like?
It starts with getting experts and people in the field like you on board so we can have the conversation of what we need that can immediately address some of the situation and help you immediately. What things we can do that's attainable in a quick way, because some of these things are going to take some time convincing some others and getting them on board to get the funding for things. But what can we do immediately? We're like putting the fire out to keep things going, keep jobs for yourself and others, because there's going to be several that are probably going to lose jobs with these cuts because they're just not going to be the funding there that they need, the amount of people they used to have. So it's getting experts on board, because I can't sit here and tell you I'm an expert with mental health or those kind of things because it's not my field of expertise. So I've got to rely on people that I can trust that's an expert in that area to help me and tell me what we need to immediately address those situations. So, talking with somebody like you offline later and getting more details of what we can do to immediately handle some of those fires is the path that I would take with a lot of different directions on things, is reaching out and getting experts in the field to help you understand what we can do to immediately put out the fire, so then we can work on a long-term solution.
Nice answer. Thank you. I appreciate that. Does anybody have anything to nothing? Political, Woodstock, did you?
Woklahoma had something.
I just had a really quick, sorry. I was just going to throw this out there. You said something about you're going to have to stand up to the administration, and that we all know will not be an easy battle, as you said, it will be an uphill battle. I guess, are you prepared, mentally, and I don't know, prepared to actually do that? Because it isn't an easy thing to do. The position that you're going into is, especially the way your stance is, stick to the administration, as you're saying. So, I get softball question, but are you prepared to be able to?
Oh, you're cutting out, friend.
I'm cutting in and out, but I think I get the gist of what you're saying. I'm absolutely believe I'm ready for that fight. I'm used to having a target on my back. A lot of times with the union stuff, you have to represent the people, whether they are right, wrong, and different in some things. Sometimes you have to tell them, no, you didn't do exactly right, and this is why. But then there's other reasons to fight for it, and there's sometimes consequences come back on you for that. And that's a much smaller level than our national government, and the amount of pressure that's going to be there from the corporations and the wealthy, and the guy that's sitting in the White House right now, and all the people he has around it. So I'm ready for that. I feel that there's going to be a lot of pressure on that, and I understand that. I've had that conversation with my wife, my family, and told them, these are the consequences of what we're doing, and there are risks with what we do, and a large targets that'll be on my back going to make this fight. But to me, my constituents, my people, my fellow Oklahomans here, and the people of this country, it means more to stand up and be on the right side of this fight to me than to be cowered down from a fear of what's coming with it. I understand there's a large fight coming to do that, and we got, unfortunately, probably decades to reverse the damage that this administration is going to do in the time that he's going to be in there. but we've got to take action and start with the midterms to start fighting back at that, to limit what they're doing and start pulling back what we can.
Candace said money out of politics. Have you taken the pledge at money out of politics yet?
No, I guess not. What is it again? The which?
Money out of politics. It's a movement in DC and is expanded throughout the country to try and get people to candidates to pledge to not take like PAC money, dark money, those kind of things
from them. But I definitely need to get on there and do that, because I believe we do need to remove Citizen United, and we need to get to where I think we ought to limit the amount that you can raise. I think
it's veteran led. Nice.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a shot of, do you think if we could elect enough, say, progressives, non-anti-humans, to actually have Citizens United repealed anytime soon?
I think we have to see what happens with this midterm. If we can turn the numbers enough where we got enough numbers, I think we maybe can convince, because there's strength in numbers. So the more power, the more numbers we have, the more easier it's going to be able to convince some others, you got protection. Now come on board and let's get rid of this. And let's do what's right. Let's remove the corporations and all these wealthy people from being able to buy our government again. We've seen the damage that was done from it. So I think we can. We just got to elect enough people to put in office to where we have the strength in numbers where they feel more comfortable doing it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hi.
And then I'm a member of the Choctaw Nation. And so when I was reading through, your website and stuff like that, I noticed that you had tribal sovereignty as one of your things on there. And in light of what our governor here is doing to our tribes here, right? If you were elected, how could we ensure tribal sovereignty, not just for, our tribes here in Oklahoma, which is important, but the tribes across the nation? Because really we're talking about treaties that were signed that is part of the Constitution that need to be upheld. So how could we address that at the level of which you're running for office, if that makes sense?
Well, I believe the treaties should be upheld. I believe, if you're supposed to have representation, then we should provide that representation. You as a tribal nation, a sovereign nation, should have representation in DC, just as if I'm going as CD2, then you guys should have your own representative that sits there and has a vote and has a voice. I firmly believe in that. And again, I think that's another thing that we can fight towards getting there. And I think the more people we put in, the more like-minded people we can put in place, the more we can get control of the House and Senate, the more we can make that more of a friendly ideal to where we can convince people, again, strengthen numbers. This is the right thing to do. Upholding what you promised is what we need to do. And that needs to be done.
I love that, because nobody has talked about that at any level. And that's been something that's been near and dear to me, and something I've wondered my entire life. We have all these nations that we recognize here in our state, but none of them share a seat at the table, right? And then same nationally, because we have a lot of national tribes, and none of them get actual representation in any of it. And several of the treaties actually specifically outline that they're supposed to have that, so I love that. Thank you for that.
That's again, you're no better than your word. And if we have treaties, the U.S. government has treated with those tribes, they need to uphold them. And that means that they have the language like you're talking about, and several do, that they have representation. Then they need to have that representation. You guys should be able to vote in your representative, and they should sit there alongside me and pass the laws that we need for better people.
I love that. Thank you so much.
Political Woodstock says you make great fry bread. So my question is it really that great?
And can we have the recipe?
Yes, recipe drop, please.
What is this fry bread that she speaks of?
It's something I learned, passed down. My wife's grandma has a recipe that she's one of them that I don't know if there's actually a recipe wrote out. You do this, so much of this, you grab this, whatever, throw it in there. I picked it up fairly quick, and it's always a family favorite around here with fry bread for stuff. And then anytime somebody talks about doing a fundraiser or something, so let's do Indian tacos. And that's their calling deal. So I usually help out and do that. I've went over to Pahuska a few times and entered their competition. I've never won it. I got in the finals one year, but that's my biggest claim to fame, I guess, for that. So they're all right, I guess.
Right.
All right. I love it. Okay, so now what I want to know is, in the near future, are you going to be doing a Indian taco drive as part of your campaign? Because now we all need to come get your Indian tacos. Sounds like a great fundraiser, way to meet the community. So how can we help facilitate that?
I love this thing.
Yeah, we'll have to get back with you guys and do that. Yeah, I've talked about doing it before. We got an event coming up that I'm not going to say anything about yet because I don't think they're ready to quite roll it out. But I'll volunteer to do some Indian tacos for it to help generate some money for the organization. But after that's over, yeah, I'd like to set up and do a fundraising event where we have Indian tacos and just a meet and greet kind of deal.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun.
Let me know when.
Yeah.
Word.
Yeah, we're the first 4 lineups.
Right, I was like, dude, I'm hungry.
All right, Michael, I'm going to kick it back over to you. Sorry, I monopolized.
No, I enjoy talking about fried bread. I wish I could talk about fried bread all day long and eat it all day long.
Bird.
But I wanted to touch on your immigration policy. You said you want to modernize immigration. Could you walk me through what that looks like and like the steps you'd be taking to do that?
Well, we need to overhaul it. I mean, it's a busted system, so we need to make a quicker path to citizenship. Instead of spending money on a wall down there, we need to put that money towards more people to help facilitate the people coming into our country, background checks and those things, the judges, caseworkers. We need to look at our job situations throughout our states and send the people coming into our country to those areas where there's more jobs. That way that they're set up with a job, when they get there, they can start going through the process on a quicker path to get their citizenship. And I don't know if we're anywhere close to having too many people in our country or not. But if we ever get to that point, then we need to work with our NATO nations and reach out to them and ask them if they need or they have any room for people that are needing to get out of the situation or wanting to change to a different country, and work hand in hand with our NATO countries to help facilitate people into those areas if we ever get to the point where we just don't have enough room here in our country. And I don't think we're there to that point. We just, are wanting to use this as a fear tactic. It's always been, they don't want to address it because of the money situation. They're making tons of money off of the immigration coming into this country. And so we don't want to look at doing something about that. And we just need a quicker path, and then making it to where, what the people that are here illegally already, we know we have people in the country illegally because it's easier to get here illegally than it is legally a lot of the time. So I know it's going to be hard to get the trust back with them with the damage that our administration is doing currently, going out and rounding people up and throw them into detention camps and then shipping them who knows where. But
right.
We need to make it to where they come on board, just identify, let's put you in the system, and you become a citizen within a couple of years. It shouldn't be any longer than that to get through that process.
Mm-hmm. It's expensive too. Yep. It sure is.
Yeah.
And I will say, in Oklahoma, the immigration office, support, there is none. Like, I actually had somebody that went back to New York because it was an easier process, versus here, they were just horrible to her. And this was, I don't know, a couple years ago during the course.
They've been here residency fees or whatever for 20 years. It's just making money off the whole process. But that's where, instead of putting money into that wall, wasting millions and billions of dollars doing that, we could put people in place in all the states to be able to address these situations.
Right. I think some of my issue with some of this right now is where are the women and where are the children? And the fact that we're being distracted with so much stuff that I don't know that I've heard the women mentioned at all, or at least something that I've seen. But the kids, like they loaded up how many dozens of children to put them. Like the youngest was like 2. Like who does this, and what country accepts this?
A heartless country. I mean, just people filled with hate. I mean, that's what this administration's been all about, is the hate and the
Yes.
retribution and all the talk that they have. It's, they have no desire to or care for splitting families up like that, or rounding up, taking somebody from work.
There's a lot of background noise. I'm sorry.
I don't know if it's me or not, but not knowing if there's a child at home that they're not going to, and that child has no clue where their parent went. It is very heartless, and it's just where we've went in this nation, and it's unacceptable for what we consider ourselves the greatest nation in the world, and to be doing the things that we do is just inhumane.
Right.
Randy asks, what about crisis emergency facilitation in immigration?
What was that again?
What about crisis emergency facilitation in immigration?
Not sure if I understand the question exactly. So prices for emergency housing or whatever, I guess, for that, or facilitate?
Well, okay, so I'm just going to take a shot in the dark here. Correct me if I'm wrong, Randy, but what I'm going for, so Venezuela, we're currently decided that they're bad or something. And so we are making their country unlivable. So, they will want to come travel where maybe there isn't things being dropped on them from the sky that burns their skin. So, when we are destabilizing these southern tribes, then they're coming up here, and then also traffic people, it looks like. So as people are being trafficked across as well, that is a different type of situation than somebody coming and knocking on our southern border and saying, this is the facility I need to check into for asylum, right? So if there is a crisis, for instance, a U-Haul van is bested, with human beings in the back coming into our country, things like that. How can we help facilitate their pathway to citizenship when it is a crisis situation for them?
Again, it goes back to trying to improve our immigration system and working with the people coming across, making it where they know, one, they don't need to be smuggled in. But I understand getting out of the situation they're in, they may go that route to get here. We're just going to have more facilities. So it's going to be at an expense. It's going to cost. But you look at it as going back to putting people back into this country, they're paying into our tax system, paying into those areas, they're helping with that where we can afford to address that. But making it known that, we're not just a closed border, but we need you to come here and do it the legal way. So when you get here, you need to file, really the paperwork should be started if you can beforehand. But I understand some countries you may not be able to do that with. But when you get to the point of the border, you need to file proper paperwork and go through the process, which is going to add a cost to that. There is going to be a cost to doing that. So we're going to have to look at ways of facilitating that. Maybe there is a cost with an application.
So what about the Treaty of Hidalgo? Because the Treaty of Hidalgo, which we signed with Mexico, right, it granted anyone who chose to stay in the United States and all of their people in the 1800s forward citizenship rights if they chose to stay in our territory versus, Mexico when that territory was taken. That was the treaty that stopped the war. So when we talk about all of these things, we're talking about, well, one, human beings, and it feels gross, to talk about human beings like we're shipping a box of boxes somewhere. It just feels that icky to me to have these conversations. But I'm glad that you're willing to have them, because to me, the Treaty of Hidalgo gave any person of Hispanic descent absolute rights forever in perpetuity. Boy, that's a tough word for me to say today. Forever and ever, them and theirs. And so when we talk about forcing people to come in here, we rounded these people up who were here legally, who had citizenship, and we threw them across a border that we created. And these people were and are indigenous to this land. We're like, most of the people here making these decisions are not. They're just our indigenous South tribes. And I don't know if you know this, but our border in Texas cuts in half a tribe, and they are no longer allowed to cross the street to go visit the people across the street without having a passport on their own reservation. And these are the things that I see that frustrate me to no end, and nobody seems to understand what the United States has done here is dishonored another treaty and created this crisis. So how do we fix that?
I need to educate myself on that treaty, I guess, because one, I didn't know about it. So that, again, I feel the same way. If that's a treaty that we had, again, we must uphold our word to that. So we need to go back and look at that and try to make right by what the treaty says.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And thank you for, it's very rare that we hear a candidate or a politician say, I'm not familiar with that. I'll have to look that up. Most of them either fake it or, make something up or right. Completely pivot. So I appreciate you staying with it and answering, in a very honest way. So thank you for that.
Sharon said we need to start by getting Texas to vote out Abbott, and I was like, oh, Governor Hot Wheels won't be there for long because he also has voted against himself when the ADA, they don't have to make anything wheelchair accessible anymore. I was like, bet I would be the petty one going, oh, my bad, you said I didn't have to do it anymore. Roll on down the road.
Political Woodstock did ask, how would you support marijuana on the federal level?
I believe we ought to remove it from the Schedule 1 list. We ought to make it where it's federally legal. I believe it's got a lot of uses, medical uses that can help with a lot of different issues. And I don't, just from the knowledge I've had reading on it, I don't feel it has as much of an effect as alcohol does as far as some dangers. I believe we ought to get it off the Schedule 1 list and federally make it legal. Because right now, even with medical marijuana in a lot of places, Oklahoma being one, with the safety sensitive positions they put on it, it limits the job you can have if you're using that for any medical treatment at all. It limits the job because you can't work there unless the company decides they're not going to even test for it, which some companies that we represent have done that. Not all of them. And so, like a pain, Lord had one of those things. I had a back surgery a while back, and I had a painkiller that I didn't take, but I used it to ask the question. So, I had to report it because I had it, and they told me, well, as long as you agree not to take it within 8 hours of the start of your shift, you can work with it. We'll let that go. And I asked the question about, medical marijuana. And they said, well, we can't, that one you would not be able to take at all because we can't put with the Schedule 1 classification, it comes with mandatory restrictions. So that's the first step, getting it off the Schedule 1 list. And I really just think we ought to federally legalize it. And that would end any problem on it.
Love it. Thank you.
Back on immigration, I have a question about would you support any ICE camps being built in your district? Because as you know, we've seen what happened in Florida, the inhumane
Right.
conditions in there. Would you support that being built in your district, and how would you combat that if you don't support it?
And that was what was what being built? Sorry, I didn't hear the first part.
Sorry, ICE detention centers, like in probably ICE camps, anything like that.
I don't know a lot. And so is it? I've heard a lot of. If it's what I'm thinking you're talking about, it's talking about the cost and the strain on the electrical grids, and then also the water and those things.
ICE
Ice.
detention.
Ice detention.
Sorry,
like that. I did not hear the question. So ICE and the raids on ICE.
Yeah, the ICE
Is that what-
detention center.
Building
So,
ICE detention centers in your district, do you support that, or how would you fight it?
Okay, that's much clearer. No, I'm not for the ICE detention centers. I'm not for, and to me, it just feels like privatized prisons, and I don't feel we need those as well. I don't think we need ICE detention centers. I think we need to redo our immigration system, and we shouldn't be out rounding people up off the street. Obviously, if they're, what they like to say, the violent criminals out there, if they commit a violent crime, and they're arrested and pulled in, then we ought to flag that, and we ought to address that situation at that point. We shouldn't be out looking for people, just rounding up. So I don't think we need ICE facility or ICE detention centers in our state or throughout our nation. I think if they're arrested, they need to go to be held in a jail cell, and then if they're here illegally, then we need to address this situation. Again, it comes back to taking care of our immigration system and putting laws in place that are fair and work for everybody. If we vetted people when they come across, we can eliminate some of those dangerous criminals from coming across. And then, if they commit a crime, once they become into our state or once they become citizen, then we need to handle it in that aspect, not rounding them up off the streets.
Great.
We got about 3 minutes left, so I want to open it up to you just a little bit and ask you, what would you like the people, your constituents, the people of Oklahoma, to know most about you? And then also, how can they, get a hold of you, volunteer if they want to volunteer, donate, all the things.
Okay. The biggest thing is, I want to work for you. I want to work for the people of my constituents, and that means all my constituents, regardless of what political party you're affiliated with. To me, like I said earlier, I don't work for the Democratic Party. I work for the people that put me in office, the constituents of our state. And to do that, you got to listen to people. So I'm always willing to hear from people. I want to hear people if their questions, answer all the questions they can. And if I can't get them an answer because I don't know about it, I want to research it and get back to you with that. Just going to DC to return the voice to the people, have a seat at that table, like we talked about from the union side of things, having a seat at the table where you have representation again, and rebuild our country, because we're struggling economically, and turn it around where we're working from, building the working class back up where we have a strong economy again, and taking on the corporate greed that has got a stranglehold in our politics. And that's what I'm looking to do for the people of Oklahoma and Eastern Oklahoma. And in return, it's going to help everybody throughout our nation. Like I said, I just like to say it's uniting Oklahoma, and in return, it's going to unite our country. And we just need to do that. To do that, we need campaign funds. We need money to get to where we need. We need money for the supplies to get messages out to people, call lists and all those things. So donate. Go to BrandonForCongress.com. That's Brandon, the number 4 Congress.com. You can go in there. You can donate through an Act Blue site. And you can ask any questions. You can also volunteer there as well. There's a link to click on where you can put what you want or what you're willing to do. And when we can get my staff, and we'll find things to do, whether it be some phone banking, postcard writing, out knocking doors. I'm really big on getting out and communicating with your neighbors and friends and family and knocking those doors so we can have communication. If there's more that they need, if they need to hear and they're interested, especially if they're of the other party, let's set up a time where I can come down and talk to them. If we run into a group of them that want to have that, where I can come there and have a conversation where they can ask the questions they need and I can answer them directly, to let them know where I stand on the issues that they're concerned with. because that's what a representative's supposed to do. Not like Jasper King did with what he called town halls. He just talked to people. He didn't answer the questions. He didn't listen to what they had to say. So my biggest deal is help support candidates. We're in this together. It's our campaign, not mine. It's our campaign. And in order to get a better Oklahoma, we're going to have to elect officials in the position that are going to fight for you.
Thank you, Brandon Wade. Oh my gosh, that was amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you, Brandon.
Appreciate y'all for having me on.
Yeah, definitely. It's some really great answers.
Get that
We
Indian
appreciate you
taco
coming
deal
on. Can't hear you.
Said when we get the Indian taco deal set up, I'll give you guys a holler.
Yes. Yes. Need to be there for that.
Say less, say less.
And we want the I want the ingredients list, although it's probably similar to mine. We don't do recipes.
That's
either.
right.
These are the things that go into it. You figure it out.
Right? Oh, political Woodstock. What kind of volunteers do you need? So is this going to be one of those that they can go on the website and find
go to the website, send something, let them know what ways what skill sets they have. That way I can utilize you better in that aspect.
Right. And so do you have one like, hey, do you have like, this is a list of what we need? And then, by the way, what's your skill set? So I can,
I don't think we have it set up that way. It just got a volunteer spot. I need to get on there and look. Maybe we need to change it to that where these are what we're needing or areas that we need somebody in. I'll talk with my team on that and try to reword that or rework it. But mainly let me know what skill set you got. I mean, it's obviously knocking some doors, talking to people, phone bank stuff, or sending postcards of literature out right now.
Because you have 21 counties in that?
I think it's 26 whole and part or something like that. I want to say it's close to 26. I think.
All right, we got to get people out there. Let's do this.
Yeah, that's
got to get them in those counties knocking doors.
Yeah, we do. We got to get county parties involved. People within the county parties, go out and
definitely
talk to friends, family, and neighbors.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Guest cards are welcome. Right.
Definitely.
Please donate the guest cards, everyone.
Well, and this is where those funds come in. And so, if you could send the I'm all about some guest cards. I mean, you got a, Homeland gift card while you're at it, or maybe some bombs.
District 2 is reorganizing. I love that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Everybody's got a lot of work to do, and we appreciate y'all taking the time out tonight to talk to us, to let us know, more about your policies and what you envision for not just Oklahoma, but for America too.
Yep.
We sometimes forget here in this little state that we're sending representatives up to the bigger place to make nicey nice with the other states, So
right.
I love your, because everyone wants to be leader. And I'm like, but that's not a republic. That's not a representative, right?
Right.
If leaders go first, they tell you what they're doing and how they're going to do it. But our government is set up as a representative government where the people are supposed to give the marching orders to the person who's representing them, right? And we've just got it all foobarred and backwards. And so I love that you brought that to the forefront of this interview and your campaign. I think that's huge. It's huge in my book because everybody else, again, leader, instead of listening to the people. So thank you for that. Anything else before we let him go?
I think I'm good, but I'll tell you what, that I'm going to double down on what Elisa said about if you don't know, that you were very just vulnerable, and it's you know what, I don't know about that, but I'm gonna definitely look that up, and then we'll get to talk again, because this isn't over, right? So you make that primary, we're doing this again, but I think that's really important. I think that's really important.
Do you think we could maybe next year before the primaries get you and your opponent together for an actual debate?
I'm on board for it, or even a forum deal. However,
Yeah.
I'm open to that.
Okay.
I think the primary is going to be a good thing because hopefully it's going to excite our party and excite people to get out to vote. Plus, we got the minimum wage on the ballot, so hopefully we got a big turnout, and then that'll just carry on to the general because we've got to have good turnout.
Yeah, we got to wage up. We are so far behind in the times. So
Oh
far
my
behind.
gosh.
I
It's
basically work for
insane.
the same wages, my 22-year-old son now works for, like, how did we get here? Anyway, thank you, Brandon. We appreciate your time today. And please join us again.
I absolutely will. And I've seen something as these things are scrolling through. Somebody said boomer, so I got to reply sooner to that.
Thank you for that.
You know, my son
Yes.
goes to Oklahoma State. I support them financially, but
Just with dollars, not with love.
yeah.
I just lost my
Learning
job
they're
for
doing
wanting
on me.
to be paid the same as everyone else. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Wow.
Listen. Yeah, I had to get another certification to get a pay bump.
Crazy.
Yeah. Crazy in this world. That's why we need more unions. We need people that's going to fight to help protect those wages. And that's what I want to do on the federal level as well. Adjust them where they need to be to at least somewhat of a livable wage for people to get by on a minimum wage, and then we can fight for the others.
Yeah, I had a girl that is a peer recovery support specialist, and she wanted to unionize. And I was like, girl, you better look that up. I was like, I don't know. She had time. I was like, research it and I'll piggyback. But it never came to fruition. Like, there's so much that has gone on with the Department of Mental Health that it's like, oh my gosh, like it finally crashed.
I started a tenants union in a public housing apartment complex. That was real fun.
Yes, I forgot. That
was crazy stuff. Yeah.
Well, I
We
need
gotta
to
do
hop
more.
off
We gotta
it.
do more. And we need more people who are willing to run for office, to step up to the plate. It's everybody thinks it's just this scary thing, and kind of it is until you just jump in there and meet your neighbors, because that's really where it starts, right?
Yeah, it's just getting the courage to start to do it first. I mean, really, if you care about something enough that you're willing to stand up and do things for it, if you believe in something enough, then you got enough courage to go forward and put your name on there and run for that office. And then we just got to help everybody along. I mean, that's what we need to do. Other candidates, and what I want to do throughout CD2, anybody that's running for an office, whether it's, city council or school boards even, those are all important things that, if I'm in their area and they're running and we have the same views, then let's do some campaigning together there in your community to help get you votes as well. We got to help one another, and we need to put somebody on a ballot. We need to, where the Republicans have somebody to run against, not just getting in office because they put their name on a ballot. We got to stop that.
Right, and I believe, if I'm correct, Lisa, we actually have a list of the counties that are Republican that don't even have anybody to run against. And so, is that correct? Am I correct with that?
We have a list of all the counties that have active Democrat parties in the county, and then are trying to work to get more of them up and operational, because there's so many, and without a support system, it's really just you and your friends out there, right? So trying to get these counties parties back up and operational, to me, is a good first step to retaking back our state, because that gives us a baseline of support to fight from, as opposed to me and my friend are going to go knock doors today and see it.
Right. But no, so and I can't remember which senator got it for us or where you got it from or printed it off, but there are, I know that we need the Democratic parties in those counties that we need to have those groups reinstate or whatever that looks like. But we have a list that showed where there's no representation, where it's just like straight. There's nobody to run against the Republican candidate, and so because remember I was like, I mean, I could hop over to the next county. So there are counties where like we for sure is nobody there, and we need somebody in that county because we need somebody to run against blah blah blah. So like in Oklahoma County, like how many representatives do we have in Oklahoma County alone?
Right.
Let alone like the really small surrounding towns.
Well, and that's honestly how a lot of these Republicans have held office, is that there has been no opponents running against them, especially here in
Right.
Oklahoma.
So,
Yeah.
but there was a list.
We will be okay.
Just don't run with Langford. I don't know what that means.
I think don't hang out with them when you get up there. I don't see
I don't know what that means.
Brandon
Need
not doing
context.
that necessarily.
Conversations on
Right.
what's going on, and I know some of your constituents, but why are you doing the things you're doing? But
There you go. Please.
we gotta have
Because they won't listen to us.
no, and that's what we got to get back to. And, that's what I talk to a lot of people that I call traditional Republicans. They told me, I was at Washington County's county fair the other day, and I had a couple ladies come up to me and said that, well, we're Republicans, but we feel like our party's left us, and we're thinking about changing parties. That's why I can help you with that. We got forums here, and
All right.
so, well, what is it? Asking questions about voting and stuff. So, well, I mean, if you want to vote for myself, I got a primary. I said you can't vote for me in the general or in the primary until I make it to the general if you stay Republican. So if you change over, you can help me get elected through the primary, and then you'll be able to vote for me in the general as well. And so we talked about different things that we've agreed with. A lot of things that I stand for that traditional Republicans I believe in too. We may just have different paths on how we get to that. And like I told her, I said I'd love to see your traditional Republican Party come back as well. At least we can work across the aisle with traditional Republicans. As long as you can have an open conversation, you can work and you go there doing the job like we were talking about earlier, where you're actually representing your constituents. You should be able to sit down and say, this is what my constituents need. And we agree on the easy stuff. That's simple. And then just fine tune the hard points where you don't totally agree and come to a solution that works for everybody. And once we can get back to that point in our government, we'll start moving in the right direction again. It's just,
Okay, I got one more question then.
Yeah.
It just popped into my head. Sorry. It feels like Oklahoma, like there has been this mad rush, both from our people in federal office as well as our state people, in selling Oklahoma and getting all these businesses in here. You're not going to do that, are you? You're not going to we don't need another GM plant or.
I'd like to see them come here for the right reasons. I think it's going to bite them. I mean, we're last in health. We're last in education, really low in healthcare. And those are important things for employees of these corporations that they're trying to bring into our state. And it's going to backfire on them. No, I don't believe they should have just open, no taxes or any of that stuff. I mean, I'm all for everybody doing well, but the corporations need to take care and pay. They need to pay their fair share to provide. And if they're not providing for their employees, then there dang sure shouldn't be any kind of cuts for them. I mean, that's just, I don't understand that, where we give corporate breaks on corporate taxes and stuff, these corporations, and then they don't even pay their employees enough or work them enough to draw insurance through the company. And then they're, so then they're falling back on, sooner care and those things because they can't get health care through their employer because they're basically, we're giving them the corporate welfare. So no, I want to bring them in the right way. I would love to bring corporations in that want to be part of Oklahoma, that want to have Oklahoma families work for them, pay living wages, and provide insurance to where we help the state out as a whole.
So partners.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, working together. And I guess that's the union side of me. It's
Right.
If you're doing well, then we're doing well as well. We want that to happen. We don't want to be one-sided either way. I mean, we can fight if we need to, but we'd much rather work together where everybody's doing good.
Mhm.
It's just the way things should be. That's how the great American dream, in my envision, what I grew up understanding is, everybody does well. And it wasn't until we started the trickle down economy stuff that it never worked. They just don't want to give us, they don't want to give us any of the pie. They want to keep everything for themselves. We get the crumbs.
Right. It cracks me up because they want us to go back to, the Leave It to Beaver era,
Yeah.
but we don't live in those times, right? Like we don't, back in those days, you could have a car, a house, raise 2 kids, have plenty of food on the table, go to the doctor, go to the dentist, all of the things. We don't live in those times anymore.
Right.
At
Work
all. Nowhere
25
near
years
that.
for the same company. Like that doesn't exist.
That
Hardly.
doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting to me because I'm like, you guys want to go back to these times, like Leave It to Beaver, women don't get to vote or drive or can't do blah, blah, blah. Like, we can't do that. We don't pay enough. These are different times. And because I feel like that trickle down effect was like, oh, so they all figured like, oh, you guys can still work for this, make this pay, but everything's going to go up. So, I mean, like I just got a pay increase and I'm like, it's not even going to show. You know what I mean? Like it's
commented about the tax codes, back in the times you're talking about, we had much higher tax codes. We afforded those kind of things because of the taxes that we put on the wealthy in the corporate world. And we want to go back to those times with other things, which we didn't talk about women's rights and stuff really under that. But, that's the way they're going. They want to go back on women's rights, voters' rights, equality altogether. But we don't want to talk about the tax codes or those kind of things. It's cherry picking the things that they want out of those.
Right.
Now, Enid, Street Outreach, welcome. Thank you
for that.
I just love them. I don't know if you follow them. I know it's not in your district, right? It's little wrong side.
Oh, I used to live in Enid.
These guys have been doing some amazing work, feeding people, taking care of the house, you name it. They've been doing it. Let's see, the last time I voted, they tried to not give me a ballot in Ardmore. That kind of sounds like what the Choctaws did to me the last time I voted. Try to vote there. Here's a ballot already filled out for you. Just send it back in and we'll certainly make sure that it's counted. Crazy. Well,
but listen, they don't plan on us being educated when we go to vote. When you're like, oh, but you can get me this ballot, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, that's the plan.
Right? Voter fraud. It was extremely voter fraud. I found out a whole bunch of other people had the same thing happen. So if you lived outside of our 10.5, you probably got one that was already filled out. And if you called, they said, oh my gosh, what a bad computer glitch. We're so sorry. We can't get you a new ballot in time for the election. So you'll just have to do it next time. And then they remove me from the voting rolls.
Of course.
Yeah, crazy stuff. So it's not just the American government, the Oklahoma government. Like, we're having issues with governments who have basically gotten too big for their britches all the way around. Because these are people, right? I mean, we send human beings to go do these things, and human beings can become corruptible for good or bad, right? And
correct.
So when the longer you stay in there, though, yikes.
And that's where the accountability's got to come. And I keep telling everybody, if you see something like that starting, get a hold of me. It needs to. I mean, that we can't be. I mean, we can't allow that to get to that point. And if you've been in there long enough that happens, then it's probably time to get out and to step in and do the job. You can't get comfortable, and just got to stay away from those people. I mean, that's all the lobbyists and those things coming in, putting money in your pockets. They all want favors. The only people I want to have to answer to is the people of my state, my constituents, and that's why mainly all my money is from grassroots. It's not, corporations. Like I said, the only big donations I'll take would be from my international through the union, and some union money there, because I believe in the working class.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yep.
I mean, we would not begrudge you if the unions put together $100,000 for you to take on Josh. Like, go, you know.
Right. And sometimes
Get
it's
him.
those little, yeah, I was like, chip in $1. It's those
Yeah.
little things. Like we were talking, like we were trying to raise money to go to the convention. So we got invited, right, to go. And we were like, oh crap, like we don't have money. And it was like, man, if even half of our followers sent in $1, like we would be golden. We would have so many more greenhouses and we wouldn't have to worry about that. You know what I mean? Like we wouldn't have to worry about like where are we gonna stay? How are we gonna eat? What are we gonna do?
Yeah,
So we get that. So if it's those little
nice, but it means a lot when somebody's sending you $1 or $2, $3, something like that. It's probably all they got they can afford to donate, but they care enough that they're trying. They believe in you.
Yep.
It means so much more. I mean, it really
Totally
does.
agree.
I'm not saying the big donations. When you get $100, $200, $500 from somebody, that's great. It helps, but
Right.
when that's probably all the person has that they can donate and afford to do, that means so much. It just makes you feel good that you got somebody that believes in you that much, that they're
Yeah.
100%. 100%.
Oh, did you see this 6-gun sweetie? So we actually had that discussion last night because I'm like, that's disgusting. Like this needs to change. Our state is so gerrymandered. It's insane. That is insanity that half the state goes to one person. And in Oklahoma, like I am right on like the cusp that I'm like, oh my God. So like I'm in the 5th, but I'm on the cusp of that. So I'm like,
You're right there where they just cut out back after what Kendra Horn had won the 5th, didn't she? And then they gerrymandered out 80,000 votes, I think, out of CD5.
I don't remember.
Voted out. I hate gerrymandering. We need to do away with it. I mean, we need to do what we can to fight what's going on right now and gerrymander as much as we can to get control. And after we do that, we need to just get rid of gerrymandering and put it where it's just a computer program that goes based on population, 18 and older after the census, and divide them in for their whole counties, equally in whole counties instead of cutting counties in half. I hate that. I hate trying to figure out where I'm at and what part of the county is.
Right.
He's
And I
got
think
flagged. Hold on. I gotta submit.
For what?
I had to submit feedback because apparently we have a violation for civic election stuff.
Uh-oh.
I guess you're not allowed to talk about that stuff anymore. I don't know. I said
That's why we
we're
got
not
talking
doing
code.
that though, so leave us alone.
Wait, I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, that was what was popped up. It said political Woodstock. It said violation warning, and then it said civic engagement elections. Never seen it. I should have screenshotted it. I wasn't thinking. It just freaked me out. I thought they were, because it dimmed the screen, so I thought it was going to foobar the live. So I was like, oh, no, feedback.
Right.
Buttons.
I wonder if they're starting to kick in their rules early.
Oh, I
Remember I was talking.
It's Monday, right? The new
I
rules
was talking to somebody that I'm like, I mean, we may get booted off sooner than you think.
Oh, right. The GM word.
Oh.
You're not allowed to talk about that. It's ridiculous. Some of the restrictions that they have are just absolutely ludicrous. Like we need to be talking about these things so that we can come up with real solutions to these things that are plaguing our entire country. Come on now. So
right. But they don't want us doing that here, so
50th in education, so that we just check the box they tell us to.
Well, and what I don't get is it's like we are almost the worst state in the nation, and we have been Republican led for a couple decades now, right? Hello.
In a minute. for sure.
When I moved back to Oklahoma from Florida, we were 17th in education. We are no longer that. We are no longer that.
We went right to the number one for being last. That's for sure.
Legit. So mental health, the rainbows.
I love it.
What were they calling the women? Vessels or whatever. Oh my god!
They're gonna think vessel when they get a hold of me.
Like for real.
Trouble at that point.
Makes me want to go back and work at the crisis unit.
Yeah. Brandon, I gotta tell you, I did not know what to expect because we didn't really know you. Like, you're the first one that we've interviewed that we haven't met on a number of occasions already at other events. And so I was like, what's this going to be like?
I know, we were like,
I really appreciate your candidness, your authenticity, your honesty in what you knew and didn't know, and all of the things coming on tonight and firsthand.
Yeah, that vulnerability. I mean, that's what we want to see because you're human. Yeah, you know what? I don't know about that. I'm not familiar with it. Yeah. But I bet next time we talk to you, you'll know it.
I mean, we're all human. We don't know everything, and that's like I said. Getting in this office, once I get there, I've got to rely on experts because I don't know everything. So I've got to, like I said, the mental health side of things. I need mental health experts in there to help me address the immediate problems. What can we do to take care of these immediate problems, put out the fires around the house, so then we can start looking at long-term solutions. And that goes for everything we got. You need to, it's like a football coach. I mean, the head football coach is really good when they have great assistants around them that specialize.
You're only as good as your team.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's what we got to do. I got to have people around me that can help me with those answers, to help. That's their field. That's their expertise. So we need to lean on them for that. And that's more of what I'm talking about, being ready the day after election. That's when you start setting up your staff and all that stuff. And I need people on board in these most critical areas that can help me go in the direction we got to go to immediately put out fires and then long-term solutions. Because we've got people that are going to help us long-term, not just immediate. But we got to do the immediate stuff first.
Yep.
But yeah, I appreciate you guys. I didn't know exactly. That's why I tried getting on last week, and I never can seem to get free in time. But I tried to get on last week to listen to you guys a little bit and kind of hear where I was going. But I didn't expect you.
All right.
I love question and answer. I mean, that's when I go talk at places. I'd much rather just question and answer anyway, because I want to hear what's important to the people in the area that I'm talking to and answer their questions. Let them know this is my plan, what my solution is going forward with it. But I may not be totally right. So, if you got something better, let's hear about it so we can incorporate it, and make it our plan. That's what we got.
Absolutely. 100%. Because you're only as good as your team. And, it's we got the meat and potatoes. Oh, I'm excited for Indian tacos. I love Canada.
I see we're going to be taking a trip down the turnpike.
I'm looking at that as a hint.
Yes, please keep us posted on your event. Now, are your events also listed on your website? Are you putting them on there?
The I got scheduled so far there. We're trying to add them as they pop up, so people can look and see, their areas. Okay, yeah, he's coming to my area. I can get there. And they can come ask me the questions they need to ask, so they can educate themselves. Because I'm big on. I hate straight party voting, so I'm really big on educating yourself about the candidate and vote for the candidate you feel is best in line with what your views are. I mean, and then hold them accountable, make them do the job you elected them to do.
I love that. Rare that we hear candidates say that. So thank you.
So you went to the Poto Pizza Hut yesterday, TikTok Live today. Oh, look at us. Yeah. Weber Falls on Saturday. Oh,
is it this Saturday?
Yeah, this Saturday. Yeah, they're doing just a gathering, community gathering kind of deal. It's not really political, or at least it's not supposed to be political.
Right.
I'm going to take the opportunity to talk to people if they want to talk. We're basically Muskogee County's got a bunch of food and stuff. They're going to cook and help feed some of the bands and different people that they can. And I'm going to go down and help them cook and stuff. They're going to have a big lineup of bands there all day long from like 10 to 10. And I think they're having a horseshoe tournament and those kind of things. Just a get together for the community kind of deal. And hopefully
love that. Yeah. Go to the community events. To me, that's where you connect to people, right? I mean,
100%.
Yeah. Just awesome. Get to those events, talk to the people. You're really good one-on-one and in groups. I've heard a few of your, talks from, what was it? Multi Tales? Was it? Oh,
well,
you did a couple of big ones with the Dem Party County. I can't remember which counties it was though.
Listen, political Woodstock's got you throwing horseshoes, making fry bread.
I don't know about.
All right.
Horseshoes in a long time. I did get in Jasmine Thomas. The first time I actually got to meet with her was before a convention.
Wow.
He was at the IBEW. Was having a pre-convention party fundraiser deal, barbecue, and they had a cornhole tournament, and they needed another team. So I dragged Jasmine. I don't know if you've thrown cornhole or not, but I just entered this in a contest. We're going to enter as U.S. Congress. And so we've done pretty good.
Funny.
Yeah, go kick some butt in cornhole, huh?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And thank you, Debo, for sticking with us as well. And we look forward to hearing more about your campaign as it moves forward. So look out for your emails because we will definitely have you back on here.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Sure.
And thank you so much.
Thank you so much.